Everything that happened that day was forever burned into my memories. It always starts with a faint, lingering scent. Whether it's from a dead carcass, freshly printed soil, or a waft in the wind. The demons have a very distinct scent, since they're not like us. They lived in this world far before humans, dwarves, and any other divine race. The demons have one of the most peculiar scents, in the way that you can't describe it. Fresh bread has the scent of a warm blanket, simple comforts, and familiarity. Elves have the scent of morning dew and fallen leaves and temperate winds. Jealousy has the sense of fermenting alcohol, metal, and rotting wood mixed together. But a demon, I've never been able to compare it to anything else. That in itself makes it one of the most distinct smells in this world, and one of the reasons why they've always been easy to track down, no matter how far they are from me. The smell gets thicker and more saturated the closer you get to the source. This is true of anything or anyone. So once I've got a hint of a trail, I follow it until I reach my final mark, where the scent is as thick as fog. I never jump in blindly. I wait. I bide my time. I learn about my environment and the demon's habits and movements. Maybe I could wait until they walk near a tree and impale them against its bark to restrict them. If they tend to look anxious or unsure, I always go for a fake-out strike and take advantage of their confusion. Every little detail matters before making the first move. Once I've learned as much as I can about my prey, I look for the perfect opening and throw my knife for a crippling blow. Usually, it goes perfectly. The demon is weakened and I finished the job with little to no extra effort. But this time, I gravely misunderstood how daunting my foe really was, as my nose immediately filled with the sense of a strong, demonic magic I haven't recognized since Bakumori. And as he turned his head towards me, the demon's face morphed, and it gave me the most bone-chilling smile I've ever seen. I was losing a lot of blood, and my left arm was fractured into pieces. I felt more and more exhausted from the hole he left in my lung, and my vision and sense of smell was blurring. But he was also weakened beyond comprehension. This demon was a caster. He expended all his mana, and I managed to destroy his leg. We were both backed up against the wall, and couldn't manage to finish each other off. I knew I had to run. It was only a matter of time before he recovered enough mana to kill me. I was about to use the rest of what strength I had left to escape, until I noticed something eerie. His scent. It was different. That strong smell of hostility he had faded during our fight. I only noticed once we both had a moment. His scent quelled to something quieter. He was curious? Curious about something, like he was peering into me. He reached out his hand, not with vicious intent, but more as a gesture. He spoke to me. His voice sounded oddly alluring and smooth like marble. Confused as I was, I didn't run. I was compelled to listen. He wanted to make me an offer. For some unknown reason, the demon took interest in me, the very human that tried to drive a knife in between his eyes. He wanted to forge a contract and bind our fates together. It was because of my eyes. He said my eyes looked hungry, like a starving beast, that I looked more desperate than any creature or monster he had ever met. This demon wanted to dwell in my eyes, to observe my journey and learn of my hatred. I was shocked. and even more so repulsed by the idea of ever forming a contract with a demon. Before he could explain any further, I rejected the very notion. I knew what he wanted to offer, but I could never trust the words of the same monsters who mercilessly slaughtered my family. At that moment, I mustered all the strength in my body to turn and run. But he didn't follow. I heard no footsteps trailing toward me. However, I felt something oddly sinister. The demon's piercing gaze and smile lingered from behind me. I kept going. I ran further and further, and his scent faded. But no matter how far I ran, I couldn't shake the uncomfortable feeling that he was still watching me. It was like a ravenous creature drooling down my neck, biding his time. I made my way back to the nearby city so I could rest and mend my wounds for the next few days. He was a powerful enemy, much more powerful than I'd met so far. But that meant I was getting closer to my mark. Her. Still, no matter how much time passed while I rested, I felt paranoid. Despite not detecting his scent anywhere nearby, the demon felt closer than ever, like he was stalking me at every window, crowd, or corner I turned. Maybe I was exhausted, or maybe I was scared. I couldn't figure out why it bothered me. Eventually, I learned to ignore the feeling. I forced myself to ignore this sudden discomfort and move on. My job wasn't done. I got a tip from the local guild about a sighting east from the city. A large humanoid creature had single-handedly wiped out a village of fishermen. However, what really got my attention was the description of the creature. They said it was wearing traditional demon clothing, and it was the same garments worn by the demons that destroyed my home. I didn't waste any time. I started heading toward it, because I had to know for sure. I made my way toward the creature's last location, navigating with my divine protection and asking any travelers along the way. I made it to the village and picked up on the scent, and I could tell immediately it was a demon. With my suspicions confirmed, I got angrier. I was overcome with a burning hatred, being constantly reminded of everything and everyone I lost. This bastard crushed another innocent village to rubble and ash. I couldn't control the boiling contempt I felt, and I started tracking down the demon. I followed the smell for over a whole day. 26 hours without stopping to rest, eat, or sleep. My basic human needs were overshadowed by an insatiable desire to kill that monster. I finally caught up. I didn't even think to strike quietly. I was a bullet I'd left the barrel, shooting forward with no other intent or desire than to kill what was in front of me. If you were to ask me, I couldn't pinpoint the exact moment where everything went wrong. Was it when I saw the remains of the village he destroyed? Was it when I dove in to strike him without thinking? Or perhaps somewhere during our battle when our blades met? I don't know. It was all a blurry mess to me. I was like a small animal backed into a corner, desperately thinking of a way to get myself out of this terrible situation. The gashing wounds he left on me wouldn't heal no matter what I did, and blood kept pouring out of my body. I got dizzier. I couldn't think. I fucked up. I knew I fucked up. Regardless, I gripped my knife harder than ever before. The handle was slippery from all the blood flowing down my arm. I was scared. I knew I didn't stand a chance. I was ready to die here, but not without putting up a fight. But then, I heard a familiar, eerie voice echo in my head. It was him. The contract. He offered it to me again, He promised me the power to kill the demon that towered in front of me. But in exchange, he took my humanity. It felt like a second wind of adrenaline rushed over me, and I was overflowing with mana. My body felt tight. The blood stopped pouring from my wounds, and my body no longer seethed with pain. This was demonic power. And at that very moment, when I made my next move, I knew the battle was already over. After that day, when I formed the contract with the Devourer demon, I was never backed into a corner ever again. With his strength, my hunt against the demons that slaughtered Bakumori became quicker and easier. I no longer had a reason to fear any of the demons, but I soon realized I also had no fear of any other creature as well. Our contract stated, in exchange for every time I summoned the mask, it would give me immense battle prowess beyond what any human could achieve. But in return, he would consume one of my memories at random. It could have been anything from my past, like the memory of a conversation, a battle, a place I've traveled to, or even a person. I hunted, and I hunted, and I hunted. I slowly got more comfortable using the mask and relying on the demon's powers to make my job quick. I needed to be efficient. I wanted to do anything, whatever it took, to get closer to my end goal as fast as possible. But that impatience got the better of me. And one day, something didn't feel right. It was like any other hunt, but after I killed my query this time, I felt euphoric, gratified. I didn't know how to describe this bittersweet feeling, but from that day forward, every time I killed a demon, I was filled with this sense of warm satisfaction. That satisfaction from killing them was constantly filling what felt like an empty bucket, a bucket with a hole at the bottom. And I had this uncontrollable urge to keep trying to fill that hole, even though it was impossible. I realized at some point, I started disregarding my morals and took the lives of demons that weren't even involved in my goal. It was like a new obsession that sprouted out of nowhere, and any demon, guilty or innocent, was caught in the crossfire of this unrelenting rampage. I knew it wasn't right, but I couldn't stop myself. It helped me feel relieved. The bloodshed was like medicine for an unexplainable pain I had in my heart. I didn't understand what was happening to me. I started to feel paranoid, anxious, confused. Every time I tried to think about why I was killing these demons in the first place, my throat would get tight, and all I could do was cry. That was the question. Why was I killing them? Why did it start to feel good? What was I doing this for again? The only other thing that could somewhat drown these thoughts out was whenever I smelled my knife. For some reason, it calmed me down for a fleeting moment. When I pressed it against my face, it felt like home was always nearby and in my hands. Still, I would try my hardest to remember why I was hunting the demons. So much so that every time I did, it felt like my head was being stabbed with sharp needles. Then all of a sudden, it finally came back to me why. Her. I had to find that demon and make her suffer the same way she made me and someone suffer? Wait, was there someone else? Who was he? I can't remember. Wait. I can't remember